Jurassic World Evolution 3 is coming out in just 1 month. You heard me correctly. Just 1 month. And since this game has gotten a whole army of new additions throughout the past few months, it's only appropriate that I make this video recapping pretty much everything that we've learned about this much anticipated game. One of the biggest new features that JWE3 will be getting is the fact that dinosaurs can now breed, and breeding dinosaurs of course means baby dinosaurs. We've known about the baby dinosaurs ever since the announcement trailer dropped, but let's face it, us dino fans will never get over how cute these little guys are. We'll get baby dinosaurs from most species in this game. This includes sauropods, theropods, and even aerial and underwater creatures. Each of these babies will of course have their own design, and the coolest little detail in my opinion is that most of them aren't just shrunken down versions of the adults, but instead their own separate models. The babies will be born within nests, and once they exit said nest, they will take on a different set of environmental needs than the adults. And if you're hoping for the babies to eventually grow up into adults, you'll have to cater to those needs in order for them to do so. It's also important to note that the babies won't slowly transition into being a juvenile and turning into adults. Instead, they'll go back into their own nest, transform there, and come back out as a fully grown adult. And of course, babies will receive their behavioral and physical traits from the adults that spawn them, so that adds a whole new level of realism as well. For adults, we are finally getting sexual dimorphism between male and females. Let's take one of the most obvious examples of this feature using the Lokiceratops. The females will have slightly shorter horns, where the males will have much longer ones. It's also important to note that the babies themselves won't display sexual dimorphism, just the adults. To get the adults to breed, you need to assign scientists to start a breeding program. From there, if the adults are compatible with each other, babies will be created. This first segment of this video is also a fitting place to talk about the 82 dinosaurs we will be getting in the base game. Those dinosaurs are the following creatures that are currently on the screen. I should also mention that the deluxe edition of the game will feature 4 more dinosaurs. Those being the returning Concavenator and Dinosaurs Raycon, the Protoceratops, and last but not least, the Guanlong. Going back to the topic of breeding, only around 85 of the 82 confirmed species will have the ability to reproduce. Our semi-aquatic species will finally have the ability to swim. However, the roster for the dinosaurs with the ability to do so is very scarce. So far, the Spinosaurus, Dimetrodon, and a few more can have this ability, with a few sauropods being able to walk through the deep water. The scarcity is sad, really sad, but I know we all know that the dinosaurs included in future DLCs will slowly expand the roster of swimming dinos. Who knows, we might get a swimming dino pack someday in late 2026. Just a thought. I am all for realism in my parks, and the fact that we can finally witness the Spinosaurus swim is just amazing to me. Another cool thing to point out is that we no longer might need the fish feeders anymore, since the deep water will spawn fish, and I think that's a pretty dang cool detail. Speaking of realism, pterosaurs can finally walk. We've also seen walking pterosaurs for a while, but it's a cool addition to point out. Back to baby dinosaurs, since we're on the topic of behavior, it's fitting to point out that the babies will of course be getting a different set of animations. These animations make the babies look a whole lot more playful, and they just give these little dudes a whole lot more character in my opinion. Now, this set of features are some of my favorite as a sandbox park builder. We will finally be getting short fencing to add into our parks, which is a huge time saver for me since I commonly use Malta walls and concrete barriers for my enclosures. Like I mentioned earlier, we will finally have the option to add deep water, and the deep water allows dinosaurs to swim. And yes, the deep water can act as a natural barrier between enclosures, and natural barriers are something I try to do in my parks by adding rocks to act as fencing. However, the effect it gives off isn't always too promising. Speaking of water, we will be able to craft waterfalls by stacking 2 sets of water above one another. In the current game, it is a hassle to make a waterfall look realistic. Even when you pull it off, it still looks like a disappointment. But now, waterfalls will no longer look ugly, but instead they will endlessly flow with real water. The terrain editor also received some steroids during the time that Frontier was inactive on JWE2. The steepness when it comes to hills now is absolutely next level. In fact, these hills are so steep that they can also act as natural barriers. We can also create smooth upward hills, which is a tiny bit of a hassle to do in the current game, but now, within the span of a few clicks, we can make ramps leading from one area of our parks to another. And finally, my personal favorite within this category is the rock brush. We can finally place oceans of rock just like we do with foliage. And as someone who uses rocks a bunch in my enclosures, I find this very useful. If these rocks have a hitbox, which, you know, they obviously will, it'd be weird to see a dinosaur phase through a rock, we can also use these guys as a natural barrier. We all understand the power which these features behold. We can make canyons with ease now. We can craft mountain ranges within the span of seconds. It is absolutely insane how much control we get now. And of course, we have modular building. This is an absolute game changer when it comes to construction. We can finally edit every single detail within our parks, from our rocks in the enclosures to the path outside them. Before we get to the next segment, let me use this opportunity to say that if you enjoyed this video so far, be sure to join our small community of just over 1,000 Jurassic World Evolution fans by hitting that subscribe button below. Also, if you want to communicate with different members of this community, be sure to check out the description and join the Paleo Parks Discord server. Now, let's get back to the video. We'll be receiving a petting zoo experience where the guests will be able to come in close contact with baby dinosaurs. The babies will just have to walk through a small gate, and from there, guests can pet the baby, and we'll have to pray that the baby doesn't get abducted. Other notable attractions are the hot air balloons. These big boys will have the ability to soar around the skies of our parks just like they used to do in Operation Genesis. These folks will also be able to fly over monorails, so the limitations when it comes to where these guys can fly are practically endless. I also hope that if a pterosaur escapes, they'll be able to pop the balloon and get all the passengers to fall to their death, which is a tad bit psychopathic, but that's what these games do to you after a while. We'll also be getting the addition of a canoe tour. Canoes will be able to sail through the waters of our enclosures just like in the first Jurassic World film, meaning we'll be able to have a much more close and dangerous encounter with these giants. Once again, this is a little psychopathic, but I do hope the Spinos get to eat the boats. The updated campaign will feature us working with DIN, the Dinosaur Integration Network, to streamline the management of dinosaurs. This campaign will have us working on different parks for DIN and working on different facilities for them. However, there is a looming organization threatening to shut DIN down. For all those folks who hate modular building, the Frontier Workshop will be a lifesaver. This workshop allows users to upload their creations, whether it be scenery or guest things, to a workshop where anyone can download their creations and place them in their parks with ease. We'll also be getting some park management upgrades. These upgrades will allow us to place cameras that will instantly alert us if a dinosaur is to escape. The maintenance teams will also be added as a branch of the ranger station, and their job is basically to, well, maintain the park. And that is my recap of everything we've learned about Jurassic World Evolution 3. So what do you hope is going to be announced within this next month? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this recap and are hoping to see more JWE3 updates or Jurassic World Evolution 2 speed builds, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day, and see you next time.